Welcome. You're listening to the Do Video Podcast. Today is Wednesday, February 17th, 2021, and it's the day to commit a random act of kindness. Now, embrace your host, Zoe Wood, the video confidence coach.
G'day crew, it's Zoe the Video Confidence Coach, welcoming you to today's Do Video Podcast. Oh, and I also help you build your personal brand with video. Woo! Welcome. Yes. Okay, let's get started, Zoe, because I may have mixed up my own intro there, but we're here, you're growing, you're here. Okay. But so today, we're not going to be talking about random acts of kindness, even though that could have been a pretty good idea for a podcast episode. We are going to be talking about your bare ass minimum. Ah! Okay, I'm trying to bring up the energy in the room here. So essentially what we're going to be talking about today is having an MVP for the work that you create. Now I'm going to backtrack here. The acronym MVP is known as minimum viable product. What is the most simplest, quickest, and easiest thing that you create that is not going to take too much time, energy, and effort to get out there? Usually this works in regards to business terms as like your first product or your first service or something that you can just put out there that's not going to take you too much time and effort and money to get off the ground. That is what is known as an MVP. And every single product out there has started with an MVP. So that's a good heap of knowledge for you to use there in your daily business brand building times woo. But today we're going to be focusing more on yourself and what you create, because when you are building a brand, as we both know, you have to have the energy to build your brand. You have to be eating healthy and doing exercises and bringing up your energy self to be able to complete the task that you have set out for your personal brand. Because if you are going to build it, no one else is going to build your personal brand other than you. So you need to have the energy to do it. But scaling that back a bit, it means setting yourself a reasonable level of a minimum of what you need to achieve on a daily basis, an hourly basis, or even a weekly, monthly business of tasks that you need to do to reach your minimum for your personal brand. So this may seem a little bit interesting coming from me, because I have a tendency of way estimating what is my minimum or what I'm able to achieve with my energy, with my health issues. And I find myself stumbling when it comes to just finding out where my minimum is. What exactly can I do each day to make sure that I am building my brand? Because if I want to be able to get this done, if I want to be able to reach you and help you as much as I can, I need to be able to be producing content. I need to be learning. I need to be educating myself almost every day. And I need to make sure that I have services out there for you to purchase when the time comes. And that involves me not burning out. Which again makes me laugh, because I have a very deep problem with burning myself out. I set new minimums for myself and then I burn myself out because I become too stressed, juggling client work and my own business and doing all these other things. I find myself burning out to the point where I don't even get out of bed. That I find myself falling back into that period of time where I was having my treatment and I just felt the absolute worst. And now I find that I'm falling back into that, but not physically because of my issues. Yes, they are prolonged and still going on, but I feel like my mental self is pushing myself back into that burnout phase. So if you're able to work backwards and figure out what is actually your minimum. Now I'm going to skip over my notes here, but working on yourself and figuring out what is the minimum of tasks, of energy, of things that I need to be able to do to grow my business. So say, for example, a minimum for you could be I need to reach out to a new potential customer a day. I need to reach out to them via email, text, or phone call once a day. That may seem like, oh, Zoe, you should be doing more than that. If you want to build your brand, you should be doing way more than that. That is true. But giving yourself a minimum allows you to achieve more. It's the same idea of, say, for example, days where you're not feeling that great, and I don't mean physically sick or mentally sick. I mean just those days where you're not really feeling up for it and you don't feel like you can do it. But once you sit yourself down in front of that computer, or once you go out and actually meet your clients when it's safe to do so again, face to face, or maybe you run a webinar or whatever you do in your brand that actually gives you energy, that hypes you up. And then you realize, I'm already here. My minimum was to, get in front of the camera, say, for example. I'm now in front of the camera. I might as well keep going. So if I set a bare minimum, you are automatically going to overachieve that. But having a set minimum for yourself will allow you to avoid burnout and will give you that ability to grow in time. That if you want to consistently grow your personal brand, you need to be there. You need to be consistent and you need to be in front of the camera. You need to be able to show your customers that you are the expert that they need. So to do that, you need to be consistently creating content, consistently reaching out to people, consistently showing people that you know your stuff. But to do that, you need to set a minimum of what is going to make sense for you to be able to achieve that. Does it make sense for you to create a video a day? Possibly not. Does it make sense for you to spend 3 hours a week creating videos? More possibly. Giving yourself a minimum of, again, contacting one potential customer a day, or making sure that you get your email to 0 every day. Whatever your bare minimum is that you could do consistently every day is going to help you feel a lot more accomplished. And over time, that minimum will rise, not to the extreme lengths that I have a tendency of doing, but rising up a little bit each day. So instead of, contacting one potential client a day, maybe you boost that up to 2, and then a couple of months down the line, you boost that up to 3. And you're consistently reaching out to people, checking up on customers, checking up on clients. Because you are pushing past your comfort zone, because you set your minimum at a spot where it's just on the edge of that comfort zone. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's a minimum that you can do, and you're going to avoid burnout in the long term. So comment below. I am either in your podcaster catcher of choice, or reach out to me on my social media. Tell me, what is your bare minimum for building your personal brand? And I'd love for us to compare our bare minimums, because we're all at different points and we're all unique in our own personal brand building journey. But I'd love to know what you consider your minimum at and where you avoid burnout the best. Sponsored spot. A good way to achieve your bare ass minimum is to, why not consume a piece of Video Confidence Coach content a day? Because we have 5 pieces of content, 2 videos, and 3 for the video podcast people, you'll know what I mean, for 3 episodes of the Do Video podcast per week. So why not input us into your daily routine? And you can just, watch or listen to us, every day on the working week. And hopefully that'll make your bare minimum feel a little bit more obtainable. Before we end the podcast, I would like to acknowledge and pay respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians and owners of the land on which I produce this podcast. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to face discrimination and disadvantage due to our country's colonial past. I stand with them in their fight against injustice. The Do Video podcast and Video Confidence Coach exist purely for educational purposes, and all information provided is of a general nature and should not be solely relied upon to make a branding decision. That's why you get me to consult with you directly. Wink, wink. My email is pod@vcc.training if you're interested. I ask, if you like the show, to subscribe and give me 5 shining stars on your review on your podcaster of choice. And join the Video Confidence crew by following me on my socials. Links in the show notes below. TLDW, too long didn't watch. Meeting your minimum is not being lazy, it's knowing your boundaries. Avoid burnout by not exceeding that minimum or not setting your minimum too high to a point where you're exuding too much effort for what you're gaining in return. And always think about what your minimum is. What is going to make me feel good for today, and achieving that on a daily basis. What's next? I hope you've enjoyed the Do Video podcast today. Why not check out our podcast episode and video, Why I am enthusiastically restless to succeed. I will get that title first try one of these days, but today and this year is not that day. So I think that's going to be a useful thing for you to consume after this episode. If you're watching things or consuming things in order, feel free to keep doing that. But as we go on, that enthusiastically restless to succeed feeling and that drive to constantly do better with your personal brand and build as a small business owner and entrepreneur is going to help you more in the long run. So I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast, and make sure you check us out for the next one. All right, bye.